Yesterday's NBA action, Game 7, Mavs and Clippers. Can't blame Luka. Doncic was spectacular. 46 points, 14 assists, but not enough. Kawhi Leonard, 1 assist shy of a triple-double. LA wins 126-111. The Clippers and Jazz will begin their next series tomorrow night. In Philly, Trae Young had 35 points. Hawks held on to beat the Sixers by 4 in Game 1 in that second-round series. Atlanta nearly blowing a 25-point third-quarter lead. Joel Embiid, playing with a torn meniscus in his knee, had 39 for the Sixers. And James Harden will miss tonight's Game 2 against the Bucks with what is described as right hamstring tightness. Harden was hurt in the first minute of the Nets' victory on Saturday night in the regular season. He missed over a month with a right hamstring strain. So, Jay Williams, KJZ, ESPN Radio, if James Harden is not able to be a factor in this series, let's just sort of spin
in the
it
whole
that
series
way, however that may go.
Okay.
Who wins?
I might have to go with the Bucks. I think the Bucks will win Game 2. I don't see them shooting 20% from the three-point line. And look, if this was a series where you're asking me, hey, who has more offensive firepower? If KD, James Harden, and Kyrie are healthy against the Bucks, I take the Nets all day long. But not having James Harden on the floor as a facilitator then makes Kyrie Irving a facilitator to a degree. Kyrie Irving can handle that, but I still think defensively they will be able to clamp down in a matter of time. Plus, with the way the Bucks can shoot, and it kills me to say this, Brittany, because you know I'm a Nets fan. I think that the Bucks will find a way to clamp down defensively on the likes of KD and Kyrie.
So, to be clear, and that's where I wanted to set this thing up, at the risk of depressing you, Harden is critical. What you're telling us is Harden is the difference between the Nets advancing and not.
Yeah, especially in this series because he's a guy that offensively, there's nobody that can guard him. Now, when the Bucks lost Dante DiVincenzo, you're saying that's a huge loss for the Bucks from a defensive perspective, right? Because now you have to have 3 guys that can guard these guys. Not having that, now you take off James Harden, a guy who gave you double-digit assists almost every single game, Greeny. It's a huge loss for Brooklyn. You still have KD and Kyrie, but I think the Bucks have enough defensively to scheme to win this series.
All right, we'll see. So they will play that Game 2 tonight. In the meantime,
without James Harden, if James Harden doesn't come back.
Right. So let me go to one other thing here. The Mavericks, their season comes to an end yesterday. Luka Doncic has, by the numbers, one of the great playoff series in the history of the sport in a losing effort. If I were to say to you, at the age of 22, right now, that guy is the best offensive player in the world. Right now, what would you say to me?
I would still say the best offensive player in the world is Kevin Durant, but he is right there. If Kevin Durant's 1A, Luka's 1B. Because what you saw him do last night and what he's done throughout this whole series is incredibly special. He's gifted. Now, the real question comes into, Greeny, what do the Mavericks do around him offensively? Because Porzingis is not it. You know, it's funny, a lot of people said that Tim Hardaway Jr. was the throw-in part of the package when the Knicks made that trade. You can make an argument now that, no, that was actually Kristaps Porzingis was the throw-in part of that trade. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to get paid. So, yes, Luka is special, but you can also make an argument going back to when they had this, is it Luka or Trae Young? Look at the way Atlanta has built around Trae Young. Look where Trae Young is in the playoffs as seeming what Dallas needs to do around Luka. Atlanta's built around Trae Young way better than Dallas has around Luka.
That's fair, and it's probably right. But let's just sort of finish it with this. For those who aren't following it, just put into perspective how good Luka Doncic is. Again, 35-10 for a 7-game series. Put into perspective how good he is.
Look at this face. Look at this. This is the face of the NBA moving forward. Mark this down. This is the face of the NBA moving forward. This is how special of a talent that the NBA has. There's a reason why LeBron James wanted to sign Luka to his first signature shoe. LeBron James sees it. The rest of the world sees it. But I think now we get a chance to see it on Broadway, even though he couldn't get over the hump the first round. But he is a differentiator as it relates to every NBA player in the game currently.
And I mentioned one more time, he's 22.
22 years old.
All right, Jay Will, KJZ, every weekday morning, coast to coast on ESPN Radio. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
In the NBA, Mavericks Clippers for the right to advance. Here we go, and it was Luka Doncic. What a series Luka had. Late in the first, you can't stop him. This is Nicholas Batum working on him defensively. That's a 3. Next possession, it's Rajon Rondo. That's another 3 for Doncic. Second quarter, Mavericks down by 5, being guarded by Terrence Mann. There's no good matchup. Doncic had 29 in the first half, but the Mavericks were down by 8 to the third quarter. We're tied at 81. Kawhi Leonard in the corner. He would not allow his team to go out in Game 6, and he had 28 in Game 7. Next possession, Clippers swinging it around. And the ball will tend to find the open man. And that man, more often than not, was Marcus Morris. He had 7 threes in the ball game. Here comes another off a feed from Kawhi. On the offensive side, looking for Morris. The Clippers finished the third on a 24-4 run, and they were feeling it in Los Angeles. Oh, the home team finally going to win. Steve Ballmer doing a little dance. Luka Doncic not feeling good. 2 minutes to go. Mavs down 10. Doncic not giving up. He averaged 35 and 10 for the series. 46 points in Game 7, but it wasn't enough. The Clippers had too much. Reggie Jackson knocks it down. Kawhi, the 28, plus the 10 boards, the 9 assists. Clippers make 23s, and they advance 126-111. They will take on Utah in round 2, and right now, our friends at Caesars Sportsbook see the Jazz as slight favorites. Currently minus 145, the Clippers are plus 125. However, our analytics love Utah, giving the Jazz a 70% chance to make the Western Conference Finals. That was one game yesterday. How about the other? From Game 7 to Game 1. Joel Embiid back in the lineup with the torn meniscus. Sixers hosting the Hawks. And that means Trae Young. Oh, what a night Trae Young had. It was actually the afternoon. But you get the point. Late first quarter, knocking that one down for 3. Second quarter, the Hawks are up by 20. And if he finds any space, he makes you pay. The step back 3, and he was feeling it. 40 seconds to go in the half. Hawks are up by 18. Young, using another high screen, finds the space, knocks it down over Tobias Harris. He had 35 points, 10 assists. Doc Rivers says, I can't believe what I'm seeing. But the Sixers would not go quietly. $1:15 to go. It's a 7-point game. Joel Embiid gets the feed. Look at the physicality from the big man. Get out of his way. Puts it up and good, only down by 5. Next possession, Embiid, again, working hard inside. 39 points for Embiid. Wanted the call there, doesn't get it, so it's a 3-point game. Under 15 seconds to go. Hawks up by 4, they need a steal. They get a steal. Ben Simmons, uncontested. It's a 2-point game. 10.5 seconds to go. They need another turnover. Can they find it? The answer is no. Hawks get it in. Green is forced to foul. Atlanta makes both free throws, and that's all she wrote. Atlanta steals Game 1, 128-124, despite 39, a postseason career high from Joel Embiid. So that's where we stand after one game in that series, and here is where we begin our conversation with Tim Legler this morning. So they get Embiid back. He plays huge, and they still lose at home. Is the 1 seed in the East in trouble in this series?
They're definitely in trouble. That doesn't mean they can't win the series, but when you have Joel Embiid play in the first game and play with 100% ability to move and get off the ground and have a normal Joel Embiid night and you still lose, it's a major concern, and here's why. I think Philadelphia is one of, if not the best perimeter defensive team in the NBA. They've got more personnel to throw at Trae Young than any other team when you talk about the guard position, and yet they could not contain him the entire game, particularly the way he got out of the gate. It's a massive problem for Doc Rivers, but here's what I think the solution is going to be, Greeny. I think they need to start Matisse Thybulle and let Matisse Thybulle have Trae Young the entire time he's on the floor. And if Trae Young gives the ball up, you've got to face guard and deny and take him out of the game and not let him get the basketball back to the extent that you can. Great players are still going to make plays and have an impact. But Trae Young got into a comfort zone at the start of this game. And when he does that, he puts so much pressure on your defense, similar to a Curry or a Damian Lillard, because of where you have to guard him. So I think the answer is change the matchup. You have to have more minutes with Thybulle on him. If that means you start him and Danny Green comes off the bench, so be it. Because Danny Green had absolutely no answer for Trae Young, and that's going to be the key to the series. So I think Philadelphia will still and can still win the series, but there's no doubt the level of concern has been significantly raised.
All right, so the Nets and the Hawks have 1-game leads in the